What if there was a podcast where one NFL legend talked about football? What about two NFL legends, huh? What about three? This is Wideout's World, where the gridiron comes alive. NFL legends Fred Barnett, Irving Fryar, and Michael Timpson. Three NFL legends, breaking down the game from the ultimate insider perspective. Game recaps, upcoming previews, and exclusive analysis straight from the minds of those who've been in the trenches. Wideout's World. Let's do it.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Are you ready for some football? I'm ready for some football. No, he didn't.
Who that?
Lord have mercy.
Who that, Mike?
Okay, what you doing, Fred? You're scaring the people, Fred. You're scaring the
I'm from Nolans.
You from Nolans?
I'm from Nolans.
Okay, all right.
Boy,
I thought maybe you was from Wakanda forever.
Nah, he think he on Bourbon Street because he over there drinking bourbon. Yeah, you got it right.
You are smart, aren't you?
You think he on Bourbon Street?
Irv, I'm not gonna believe nobody. I'm not gonna believe him, Irv. You are smart.
Yeah, okay. I'm something. I got on this show, didn't I? Eddie Casper, what's going on? He's already in the house. Listen, this is Wideout's World. Yep, we're back again to give you some analysis of this past week's wide receiver play and give you our predictions for next week. I'm Irving Fryar. That's Michael Timpson out there. Michael Timpson. And there's Fred Barnett over there.
And hosts. We're not echoing tonight.
See,
you
no, you shouldn't have had to say. You shouldn't have said nothing because nobody wouldn't even know.
I know. You know what? We can't.
Just had to go there, didn't he? He just had to go there. Yeah, we had some, I guess, some technical difficulties.
I keep it real
on that side last week. Don't know what it was. And I went back and watched that, and you guys were echoing. It was, you were like you in some kind of.
I'll tell you what.
Somewhere.
There was only one person out of place.
That's okay. But I sounded fine.
We're here.
I must have been. We're here. Yes, we're here. So anything big happened to you guys this week? Anything interesting happened that we can talk about before we get into our, our forum?
I got something for you.
Okay, I know you do.
Been very exciting. I want you guys to check it out. I've been watching this WNBA basketball playoffs. I'm just like, I'm waiting. The game's on tonight. Man, I mean, really? Indiana Fever are going to play against Connecticut Sun. Mm-hmm. I'm watching this. Last night I was watching Aja Wilson, 3-time MVP player.
Mm-hmm.
This lady got a nice, sweet left-hand jumper. She's 6'5", and she's, oh, man, you guys got to check out this WNBA. I'm in.
I'm going to have to do that.
Every time I do happen to check them out, Mike, I'm very, very impressed with their skills. I mean, those women can play basketball. I mean, they got ball handling skills. Like you said, they got jumpers. I mean, they can pass behind the back. They can whatever, there's a lot that the men do. They do just as well as the men do in the NBA. So, hats off to the women. They're not getting paid like they will be at some point. But
soon come.
It's coming. It's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
They get the ratings and everything.
Yeah, they're making enough noise.
Caitlin Clark is a baller. I'm telling you, got that lady is.
She does it all. Yeah,
She's a baller.
She got some haters in the league because she came in she came in making noise. Yeah. She came in and she's legit. I mean, she came in doing stuff that no other female rookie has done. Dude. Yeah, she shoot the lights out, bro. She dribbling and all of a sudden shoot like Curry.
Oh yeah,
she's the female Curry.
Check it out, man. It's on right now, and right now the first round is the best of two, so it's win or go home real quick. So tonight, if Indiana doesn't win, they're going home.
Well, I ain't checking it out tonight because soon as we get off, I'm going to bed so I can get up and go to the gym in the morning. I've been working all doggone day. Hush, Fred. You don't know my plight.
I'm going to the gym.
Don't try to steal my glory. You don't know my story. So listen, as we always do, we start out the show talking about each one of us individually. We talk about our top five wide receivers of this past week. This was week number 3 that we just finished. I mean, the season, y'all, is going by. We got 3 weeks in already. Isn't that unbelievable? Yeah. I mean, it seems like it just started, but now we're in week 4. We're going into week 4. Tomorrow we'll begin week 4 with the Thursday night game. But my gosh, time is just flying by. But here we are. We just finished week 3. Let's talk about our top 5 wide receivers of the week. Fred, why don't you go first? Mike went first last week.
All righty. It's interesting, man. It's just real quick. There are a lot of teams that are losing that we think are going to win. There are a lot of teams win, and we also have to go over our record too. Make sure we do that.
Mike has a. We'll do that after we give our picks. We'll do that, and then we'll say where we are.
A lot of teams are not playing as good. A lot of key people hurt, which is very interesting. Of course, Deebo Samuels, AJ Brown, and some others. But let me start out with my number 5. My number 5 is Jamar Chase. Can't believe that since he lost to Washington, now all of a sudden it seems like Washington is going to be interesting for the Eagles, in my opinion. Jalen Daniels, man, this guy, a buddy of mine told me, gosh, first week he's like, man, you better watch Daniels. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, he's a rookie. You know, he's kind of versatile. You know, so sometimes when you have a quarterback that's an athlete as well as having a great arm, he's sometimes want to run the ball and just pretend he doesn't see the coverage and just kind of get his glory in running the ball. But this guy, man, he's something.
The word is that he is quite the football player. That he is legit right from the get-go, right from the door. He is legit. That's the word going around.
That's what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. Chase had six catches, 118 yards. Of course, it was a loss against Washington. Chase, I think he had a long touchdown. It was down the left sideline, and I really thought Cincy was going to pull this thing out, but they didn't. McLaren is my number 4. Of course, he caught a nice ball from Daniels, and to continue to build on their lead. He didn't have 4 catches, 100 yards and a touchdown. But he was very instrumental. Rashid Rice. We've talked about this guy last year. We know that I think he still hadn't figured out his little troubles yet off the field. But I think that's coming up, and I think the way that he's playing, that the Chiefs are going to make sure he stays on the field. This cat had 12 catches, 110 yards, a touchdown against Atlanta. They beat Atlanta, and even that game, I thought they would really dominate, but they really didn't. I think, Irv, I question you about putting a tight end in. And
I didn't do it because y'all fussed at me last year.
I know.
I was going to today.
I did.
I said no. I'm not going to do it. Well, I know who it is that you put in, but I didn't do it because y'all had a hissy fit last year when I did that a couple of times. Yeah. So I said, nah, let me do a little more research. Let me do a little more due diligence and not use a tight end. So I didn't do it.
Goddard had 10 catches, 107 yards, and I'm telling you, you're talking about dominating, man. This guy. He had a long pass to put them ahead, and the defensive backs kind of got twisted up there, and they kind of bumped into each other. But
why were they playing man? Why were they playing man? That defense. Why were they playing man coverage in third and long? What in the world? Why aren't they creating a shell and trying to keep the offense in front of them just let them catch the ball and tackle them short of the first down, make them punt? They were in man-to-man. Three of those defensive backs ran into each other.
Yeah, it's so amazing. It's so amazing, in my opinion. You make a great point because I think just from these 3 games, I have really begun to see how the coaching staff and the play calling can really put players in a position not to win games and make plays. And of course, I think, of course, all the fans are saying, "Oh, but this guy didn't do this guy didn't do that." It's about scheming and putting guys in the right position and making the right calls defensively and offensively to put your guys in position to win the game. And that situation there is an example. Jawan Jennings, 11 catches. Anybody that has 11 catches, 175 yards, and 3 touchdowns, come on.
Yeah.
Of course, Deebo Samuels is out. Christian McCaffrey's out, and this guy, he lit it up. But good God, I did not think that they would lose to the Rams, but they did. And Jawan Jennings did a great job. As I mentioned, 11 catches, 175 yards, three scores. That's a fabulous evening right there. So that's my number one.
Yeah. Mr. Timpson, what you got for us, my brother?
All right. So number 5, I have DK Metcalf. There was one particular. Obviously, he had the big long 71-yard touchdown, but then he had one play on the sideline that he took the ball off of the guy's back and just deboed him and just took it from him and got a big gain. I just think this guy just continues to get better, big, strong, and fast. So he's my number 5, 4 catches for 104 yards. Number 4, the rookie out of Chicago, Odunze, 6 catches for 112 yards, 18 yards the average. If they can just get it right and get him the ball, he can continue to get better. Now, they're not going to be great. They're not going to be anything. But if he can just progress as a receiver, I think that'll bode well in the future. I went number 3, Rashid Rice, that you had talked about, Fred. He just seems to, for 12 catches for 110 yards, he's not the big play receiver that we think that he can be. I just think over time, he could develop into that as Patrick gets more comfortable with him. But I think part of the reason why he hasn't had a breakout game, the tight end, what is he doing? I think the girl got him going crazy. He's just not even playing right. Kelsey. It's just, he's just all over the place.
It's just a matter of time before things started going whack with him.
He in love. Something's wrong. So number 2 is Jamar Chase, 6 catches for 118 yards, 2 TDs. I was surprised too that Washington beat them, but he needs somebody to help him on the other side. And the other thing too with Cincinnati, quarterback, he just ain't playing consistent. There's a lot of factors. The line is no good. They got to get their running game going, but it's just no consistency there. My number 1 is Jawan Jennings that you mentioned. Again, 11 catches for 175 yards. But here's the thing. Losing against the Los Angeles Rams, I wouldn't have predicted that. But like you mentioned, Fred, you got 3 of their playmakers
injured.
A big part of their playbook has been altered. So for this guy to have 11 catches, kudos to him, because that playbook is totally altered because you're missing Kittle, McCaffrey, and Deebo, And so but I think when they get those guys back, they'll get back on track. I solely expect that. That's the kind of team dynamics that they have. I think they'll get back on track. But number 1, Jawan Jennings.
If they don't lose too many games before they get back on track, depends on how long it takes those guys to come back. And Richard Melton is in the house, fellas. Richard Melton is back in the house. He said, "How about?" Guess who he's talking about? I'll give you one guess.
The Bills.
The Bills. Yep. How about them Bills, though? He said, "How about them Bills, though?" And then he puts a question mark up or a question and says, "It was said the Bills lack talent, that good teams will expose them." What do you think?
They're gonna get tested this weekend.
Oh yeah,
Richard.
That's the game of the week right there.
Yes, sir.
Game of the week. They're
gonna get a test this weekend, Richard.
We're gonna find out this week. And Lamar and they both balling. Both teams are balling.
They need it.
Yeah. So Michael Lott is in the house.
Baltimore needs it.
And then Richard Melton wrote another question. My comment on my own. He said Josh Allen can beat any of these defenses, which are suspect from the giddy ups.
Oh,
so we'll
we're going to talk about Buffalo. I got some comments on Buffalo. So
okay, good.
Just
hold your horses. listen, if you're watching right now, put something in the comments, say hi, let us know you're there. I have only two people who have made any comments. That's Eddie Casper and Richard Melton, but there's like 15, 20 people on my ticker right here on my viewer. So I know there's 15 of us, 20 people who are watching right now. Say hi. Say what's up.
They might be eating dinner. They might be eating dinner just listening to it.
Well, that's fine too. Just put your fork down. Use your finger real quick. If you got to wipe the grease off, and just say hi, and then you can go back to eating and watch us. There you go. Thanks, Fred. So my number 5 is Odunze, like you have him in your top 5, Mike. Out of Washington, consensus All-American, 6 catches this past week for 112 yards, 1 TD, 47-yard catch was his longest. He had an 18.7 yard average. We always look at the averages because, there's a lot of short passes these days and guys don't have, double digits, so to speak, particularly when you talk about 15 yards or more averages in their catches. He's a first round pick for the Bears, y'all. He's a 9th pick this year. So him and Caleb Williams came in, together. They're both young. And, Caleb Williams' first touchdown pass this year was to him. So he threw 2 in this game, and the first one was to him. It was a 1-yard strike in the fourth quarter. 6 receptions, 11 targets. I think this is great. 3rd game of the season, and that's why I have him as number 5. This is the 3rd game of his career as a professional wide receiver, and he's racking up 112 yards in a touchdown, 47-yard long. Yep. I think that's great for a rookie. I've always said that these rookies, receivers, particularly college receivers coming to the NFL, much more prepared to play the position of wide receiver than I did. I can't speak for anybody else in my era, but I know I was not prepared to play wide receiver, and it took me a long time to understand the nuances of the position and how to be effective in my routes and create the separation I needed at the time that it needed to be created so the quarterback could get me the ball. But hats off to him for Chicago, and they lost to the Colts, but it was all right. He's balling. Him and Caleb Williams will develop, and they'll continue to get better. They will continue to ascend. My number 4 is Jamar Chase with the Bengals. Great players still shine in the dark. They lost to Washington. Nobody thought that was going to happen. He has 6 catches for 118 yards, as y'all said, 2 TDs, 19.7. He was targeted 7 times and caught 6 balls. I look at that. That means he's getting open. That means he's catching the ball. That means he's dependable and reliable, and it's a high percentage when they throw the ball his way that it's going to be a completed pass. 62 yards week 1, 35 yards in week 2, and no TDs. And here he comes week 3, putting it back together again, even though, hopefully his preseason contract, discussions or drama is over. He's able to put that behind him and move forward as the season goes on. So my number 4 is Jamar Chase because great players still shine in the dark. My number 3 is Terry McLaurin. Now, the reason he's my number 3 is because he only had four catches, but he had 100 yards and 1 TD. They beat the Bengals, Washington. Third and 7, he caught a 27-yard touchdown over his shoulder, and the defensive back was all over him. I mean, it was a great catch. Got his feet down, just a great catch. And Jaden Daniels they say he's a baller. So he also had a 55-yard catch in the second quarter. So when I saw that catch, I was like, I got to put him in my top 5. He had over 100 yards. He had a TD. Great catch. Great game. My number 2 is Deontay Johnson. Yeah. 3rd round pick from Toledo. He's with the Panthers. He was at the Pro Bowl, y'all. He was brought over there by the Steelers. He used to play for the Steelers. He's acquired by the Panthers from the Steelers. He made the Pro Bowl in 2021. They beat the Raiders 36-22. He had 8 receptions, 122 yards, 1 TD, 15.3 yard average. His long was 35 yards. He had combined for 34 yards in the first 2 games as a Panther. He's a possession receiver, though. He's not one of the big guys on the outside running speed and all that. He had big plays, though. 3 big plays, 23 yards, 17 yards, and 16 yards. So he's my number 2.
So you think let me ask you a quick question. Can he build on that in Carolina? No, they switched quarterbacks, Andy Dalton. Can he build on that with Carolina?
I don't know that he can, but that's again, that's another hat off to him because he's got to be on point all the time and make sure that he does what he's supposed to do because they lack at the quarterback position. It's tough when you're a receiver and you don't have an adequate. When you don't have an adequate quarterback. I have the record. I know this firsthand. I have the record for playing for the most quarterbacks in a career. I played for 19 different quarterbacks in 17 years. And it's you got to be on point all the time, and you can mess yourself up. I remember there were times here in Philadelphia, my third year here in Philly, when what was his name? I can't think of his name now. But the quarterback was having problems, and I started trying to make up for what the quarterback was lacking, and I was messing myself up, rushing routes. I dropped a couple of balls.
I ain't listening to y'all tell me about these quarterbacks. You played for Hall of Famers. He played with Cunningham. You played for Marino.
I didn't play with Cunningham.
I'm the one that no, Fred did. I'm talking Fred.
I played for one Hall of Famer. That was Dan Marino.
I haven't even said anything.
And my first year there, Dan got hurt. His Achilles. That. I only played with Dan for 2 years. Every other quarterback I played with or for was average or below average. Every other one. You remember who Jeff Carlson is? You remember who Jeff Carlson is? Yeah, see who?
I remember all the quarterbacks he played for. Yeah.
Tommy Hodson, Doug Flutie,
Scott Zolak.
Come on, man. People don't. And my number one is Jahan Jennings. My number one is Jahan Jennings, just like you guys. Because he was ready. Those guys went down. He had been playing primary slot receiver. First week, he had 64 yards. The second week versus the Vikings, he had 37 yards. He was ready when his number was called, and he goes in, 11 receptions, 175 yards, 3 TDs. He wasn't the primary receiver. He wasn't the go-to guy. He probably wasn't even starting. He was getting some time, but he's the next man up. He's the epitome of the next man up. He went in and got it done. Now, they lost the game against the Rams, but, I mean, he still did his thing.
Yeah, you would have thought that Ayuk would have been, that guy who would have had those numbers.
Right.
Because, he's the guy who got the big contract, and set out for a long time, and they would get him the ball. But, as you mentioned, Jennings was ready.
Is he hurt? He ain't doing anything.
Is he hurt?
He done disappeared.
Well, first of all, let me say this. I think he did something very interesting. He did something that I think will set him back if he's ever up for another contract. I don't know if you guys caught this, but after he signed his contract, he said to the media live that he started to just play a game with the 49ers. It became a game for him. And I'm quite sure that the 49ers heard that loud and clear because, all organizations are about their business. Yeah. And understandably. But, if you're sincere about what you're worth, right, stick to that and let that be it. And not reveal that, hey, it came down to a point where I was just playing a game to see if they'll move. They did, and here he is.
Let me ask you guys a question because, and Mike, I mean, you were much more disciplined when we were younger than I was. I ain't had no sense when we were younger. But do you think some of these receivers or some of these NFL players, not just receivers, when they receive the big money, that kind of money changes your lives? When you get a contract for $100 million or you're making $15, $20, $25 million a year, how hard is it, do you think, for them to stay focused and to work as hard as they were working to get there? And now that they've gotten there and they've gotten the payday, and they live in these, they're living a lavish life, don't really have to worry about, when it comes to money, you don't have to worry about anything. It's really hard these days to blow all of that money. I mean, we didn't make nearly the kind of money they make. I mean, they make in one contract make more money than I made in 17 years. So do you think some of these cats lose their focus and become a little bit complacent? Why? Because of the money?
Well, I think to
Mike,
your
you want
point,
to go?
some do. I think to your point, some do and some don't. It's extremely difficult now, I believe, with all the eyes that are on them at all times. I mean, we're watching pregame like on a Sunday. Now they have cameras inside, where they're eating breakfast, pregame meals.
Right,
They're on
right.
cameras are on the bus. I mean, it's just 24/7. They have attention on them, and they're doing things off the field to bring in revenue that way as well. Social media and all that.
Yeah.
I think those things have made these players quite different than what we were accustomed to when we were playing.
Yeah.
So I just think some have and some haven't adapted to it real well.
What about you, Fred?
I think just pure human nature,
Right.
and I agree with Mike that some will, once they have the money, prioritize things, and that now, being more disciplined. Why? What am I being disciplined for? Why am I on time? As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Keon Coleman for the Bills, he set out 2 series. You know why? Because he was late for a meeting. Now here's a rookie who's late for a meeting. I mean, if I'm almost a 60-year-old man, and if I'm late for a meeting now, I pull my hair out, and I don't even have hair. But back in the day when we knew not to be late.
Yeah.
And there was not one time as a rookie that I was late for anything. As a matter of fact, I probably was the first one there looking around, wondering if the meeting was still on because I was the only one there. And here's a guy, a first-round draft choice, and then he gets in and catches a touchdown. And that's almost even worse.
Right. Yeah.
Late for a meeting. You set me out, and then I come in and catch a touchdown.
Well, Jalen Carter was late. Jalen Carter was late for a meeting and didn't start against the Falcons because he was late for a meeting last week. 17 years, I was never late for a meeting ever.
Well, I was, and they took $500 out of my pocket.
That was the last time you were late.
That was the last time I was late. My rookie year, I was late for a meeting. I think $500. Man, I was never late again.
Listen, Ben Straight is watching. My mother is watching. Hey, Mom, how you doing, sweetheart?
Hey, Mama.
Hope Wiley is watching. Billy Bell is in the house. Tyrone Murray is in the house. All right, everybody's shouting out now. Listen, if you're watching right now and I have not shouted you out, please say something. Please say hi. You see people putting comments in the chat. Ben Straight says, being human, it has to be hard to play thirsty when you got all that lifetime money. Yup, they get to a spot when they are there because they want to be there, but financially they don't need to be there or play hot. Yeah. You're right. It's got to be hard. I guess I came up in the right era. I was born at the right time because I don't know, honestly, be honest with myself, I don't know how I would handle, like you said, Mike, this kind of attention. I don't know how I will handle this kind of money because, that kind of money, it's, you can do whatever you want to do pretty much. $250 million, that's $250 million.
I tell you what, I wouldn't have played as long.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, if things were the way they are now, like with the NIL in college, I never probably
went pro.
I never would have went pro. I would still be in Nebraska right now. I'm still using my name, my image, and my likeness. I'd still be I'm serious. I would still be in Nebraska. I never would have. And you know what? Some of the college athletes are going to do that. Yeah. They're making so much money. I mean, right now, it is said that if I'm a college coach and I'm trying to get an average quarterback to come play for me out of high school, they have to be able to offer him at least $2 million.
That's crazy.
And then the parents, the parents are even more of a problem than the kids. Because one, what do you tell a kid who's 17, 18 years old? What do you tell him about developing? What do you tell him? You don't tell him any. And then the parents, they're pimping their kids. Well, Coach so-and-so said they're going to pay him $2 million. What you going to pay him? If you pay him more, he'll come to your school. And now the parents, watch this, the parents get the payday 4 years earlier. They get the payday 4 years earlier. Now they don't have to wait for him to go to the pros and possibly not go to the pros. They get paid in college when he's playing college ball, and they get their house, and they get their car and all that.
Get everything. You know, it's so interesting, that balance of fame and fortune. You know, when you think about, of course, the money, the fortune. Mm-hmm. But then there's an element of guys who really want to be in the forefront, who really want to, walk in a place. Say you go to a basketball game, they want everybody to say, "Oh, there he is, there he is." You know, I was never that guy. I was never that guy who wanted everybody to know who I was. You know, I was sneak in the back somewhere. I'll sign my autographs and then I'm gone. There are times even when I go to the Eagles game, I sign autographs or what have you. And I go to the stands and everybody's screaming, and I'm like, I gotta go. I can't do it.
I go sign autographs and I go home. You go to the stands. I don't even go to the stands. I don't even make it to the stands, man, because there's too many people. Hey, Kenneth Casper said, "What's up, guys? Looking forward to the Eagles-Panthers game this year. That's the game we're going to be at."
Frank.
Yes.
Frankie.
Good to see you too, Kenneth. So next up is our surprise of the week. And that's a good surprise or a bad surprise. Good you're saying I know exactly what you're going to say. But anyway, good.
You don't know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. Good or bad. You don't know what I'm going to say. But it's a good surprise or a bad surprise. We're going to start that off with you, Mike. Go right ahead.
Well, my surprise of the week is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers guys are 3-0 behind with Justin Fields, who obviously didn't make it in Chicago. But here's the thing. The guy's playing with no pressure. And to quote him, he says he's playing with peace. He's at peace. Mm-hmm. They played Indy this weekend, and I mean they're playing Indy this weekend, and they could be easily 4-0. And not only that, this guy's completing 73% of his passes. He has one INT over 3 games. I mean, he's not doing anything crazy with the ball. He's being efficient. He's doing only what they're asking. He's not trying to do too much. Mm-hmm. And the biggest controversy over this is whether or not Wilson is going to be the starter when he comes back. So I have a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin. I hope he does not cave to conversations that he perhaps had before with Wilson and puts Wilson back in as a starter. He'll ruin that team, and I just think he's smart enough that he won't do that. But the surprise for me is Pittsburgh's 3-0 with Justin Fields.
Well, I'm before you go, Fred, I'm gonna have to go because I agree with Mike. That's my
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I got the same surprise. That's my saying. And for everybody who's watching, we just give the categories to one another. We don't talk about who's going to say this, who's going to say that, what our picks are. So Mike and I are on the same page. I feel the same way. This is a grand surprise. Nobody saw this coming, particularly when Russell got hurt. When Russell Wilson got hurt, they thought because Justin Fields didn't do well with the Bears that he was going to struggle. And he's not, like you said, Mike, he's not doing a lot. And they've taken that offense and they're running the ball, taking the pressure off of Fields. And all he has to do is manage the game and not lose the game, so to speak. And he's doing exactly that. He, like you said, he has one INT. They defeated the Broncos on the road. Beat the Chargers last week at home. They're run heavy. They average 139 yards in rushing per game the first 2 weeks, and they had 114 yards on the ground versus the Rams last week. Fields is getting more comfortable. You can see him. He's getting a little more comfortable every week. Had a few explosive plays, one with Calvin Austin, George Pickens, and the guy Pat Freiermuth, or however you say his name. And then they just let T.J. Watt do his thing. Yeah. T.J. Watt gets in there and just messes things up for the opposing offense. Yeah. Give the ball back to the offense, and they just manage the game. And to me, this is a great position to be in. Hats off to Tomlin. It's a great position to be in for the Pittsburgh Steelers because guess what? When Russell Wilson is ready to play again, Tomlin's not going to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's not going to he's not going to turn over the cart. He's not going to disrupt the cart. He's not going to put Russell in as a starter. But just think about this. Now we have a potential Hall of Fame quarterback as our backup. So if something does go awry, if Fields does get hurt, we're not going to miss a beat or shouldn't miss a beat with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So Russell will come back when he's healthy. He'll be ready. I'm sure Fields will play a few more games so Russell can continue to get healthy and get stronger. And then if his number is called by chance, he's going to be ready. The team won't miss a beat. Now, with 3-0, here, imagine this. Justin Fields, this team is 3-0 in the history of the NFL, going back to 1970, 118 teams of the 158 teams that started out 3-0 have made the playoffs. 75% of the teams that start off at 3-0, they make the playoffs. Now, of those teams, 43 got to the Super Bowl, and 21 of them won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So this is a light that's shining in Pittsburgh that none of us saw this. None of us saw this happening. So hats off to Mike Tomlin. Hats off to Justin Fields. Hats off to that defense up there with Watts. And just keep on balling, fellas. You're doing a great job. That's my good surprise.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? Tomlin somehow, some way, he figures out how to win. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, it's sometimes it's pretty, sometimes it's sexy, sometimes it's just, most of the time it's not. You got a 17-13 win, you got a 21-20.
You only got
21-18.
Only got one.
But they've always been that way. They've always been that way for the most part.
Yeah.
Win by
They've
defense.
always been that way since Tom. But my surprise.
Christopher Cunningham is in the house.
Ahead.
What's up, Chris? Go ahead, Fred. Chris, I just want to shout Chris. Scott Teller is in the house. Justin Fields is in his last year of his rookie contract. So what do you do with that situation?
You pay him. You let him earn it.
Yeah, you got just like everybody else. You got to pay him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to expect it, and that's what they do.
Of course,
that's what they do. And particularly if he's balling this year and he matures and he develops and he keeps winning games and not throwing the ball away or not putting the ball in harm's way, you got to pay him.
You know the interesting thing about paying an individual like that is that the most important thing, of course, we know this, are numbers, not necessarily wins and losses, but at the same time too. Justin Fields is 3-0, but as he's going on, he's not having 350-yard games. He's not having, 3 touchdown games. So it may come down to, when it's time to pay him, it's like, you don't have the numbers.
They will try to use it as negotiating. They will
use it as
negotiating
too. But listen. What happens? What happens if they continue in this trend where they're running the ball heavily? And he's just kind of managing the game.
They're going to look at numbers.
Wait a minute. And they get deep into the playoffs. He doesn't get hurt. He plays every game this season, and they keep winning, and they keep this trend where he's not putting up big passing numbers, but he's managing the game, and then they go deep into the playoffs. They got to pay him. The numbers won't matter then.
To Fred's point, they will
throw those
will try and
stats.
use that against him.
Of course.
That's what Fred is saying.
Yeah, it's about the daggone numbers.
NFL not for long.
You can average a touchdown a game, but if you average 5 catches and 40 yards, it's like 5 catches, 40 yards. That ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
I'm catching the winning touchdown every game.
But that's different for the receiver than it is for the quarterback. It's a different game.
It's the numbers.
It's a different. Stu Winrow's in the house. What's going on, Stu? Go ahead, Fred.
Stu. So I have an analogy for my surprise.
I love when he gets philosophical. I love it. Go ahead, Fred.
He's drinking the bourbon is what does it. He started drinking that bourbon and start getting philosophical. Yes, in you,
Mike,
because you drank it all.
So here's the issue. Let's just say Mike and I are on the Food Network.
Oh Lord!
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
And we get it's a cake baking competition. Mike, what's your favorite cake?
Lemon pound cake.
Lemon pound cake. So here's the interesting thing about this. So it's me and Mike in the finals, and Our chef says you have to you have to bake a lemon pound cake. But here's what I'm going to do. He says, I'm going to give you the recipe. You're not going to create your own lemon pound cake. I'm going to give you the recipe. It's a problem when Mike's cake come out all fluffy and moist and it's all nice. And my cake come out like this with the same recipe. My question is, how does Andy Dalton have the same team that Bryce Young has, and it's a different team? I'm confused. It's a whole different team. I think we're going to get to the point, unfortunately, we're not going to be hearing from Bryce Young at some point because you got a guy like Andy Dalton that's been in the league, gosh,
Right.
for 100
Been around for
years.
a while. Yeah, he's got experience.
That's coming in. But here's the deal. That's a good point, Eric. Here's the deal. The thing is that you probably thought, and I think we all probably did, thought that even with his experience and his ups and downs, that Bryce Young was like right there as this exciting, guy coming in his second year, second year. And to see so much of a difference, respectfully, with the same recipe as my analogy goes.
Yeah, but Andy Dalton has seen so much more. Andy Dalton has so much more experience. He's seen so much more, and he's seen a lot of it from on his back. He's seen a lot of the negative in terms of that can happen.
But
on the offensive side
why
of the
start
ball.
him then? Why start Bryce Young then? Why start Bryce Young?
Because they want him to be the star. They want him to be the future. They want him to be the franchise guy. That's why they start him, because he's the guy who's going to take them to the promised land. But
Tell
obviously,
me this.
now, that's not the case.
Based on what we saw,
Andy Dalton didn't take any team to the. Andy Dalton didn't take any teams anywhere.
And keep in mind,
what are we talking about? We're talking about the Panthers. We're not talking about him taking nobody anywhere. We're talking about him stepping in for Bryce Young, and the team is totally different.
Right.
So what are you talking about him taking? I'm confused.
They played the Raiders, so I'm not bowled over by the fact that they beat the Raiders either.
But I tell you what, based on those first two games, do you think Bryce Young would have beat the Raiders? Just your honest opinion.
Probably not.
No.
Thank you. Yeah, my point.
So to make a point on your analogy, I think that those guys rallied around Andy Dalton more so they were rallying around Bryce Young. Bryce Young was not the leader that those guys respected. So I think you got a different team that came out and played. To your point, Fred, I think that's what you saw this weekend is they rallied around Dalton as opposed to Bryce Young, in my opinion.
Well,
let
me say this.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Bryce was playing with pressure on him. He had to do
just like a lot of rookies, like a lot of young guys.
Andy Dalton, one, comes in with experience. All right, ain't no pressure on him. Why? Because he's the backup. He knows that whenever it's time, Bryce is going to get back in the game. Bryce is going to come back in. It's Bryce's team. Ain't no pressure on Andy. He wasn't out there playing under pressure. He was letting the game come to him. He knows how to do that because he's been there before, been there, done that. He's got some years under his belt. He's seen quite a few things that defenses can throw at you. He's been under pressure before. He wasn't under pressure in this game, and he was able to go out and play, relax. That's why it looks so different. Bryce plays tight. Bryce plays tight.
But my point is that with him being as drafted as high as he is and as high as he was and who he was in college, be honest, did we expect more?
From who?
Bryce Young.
From Bryce Young.
I didn't.
Well, I expected him to come in and be productive. Was I expecting him to go to a Super Bowl? Not necessarily, but I was. No.
We're not talking about Super Bowl.
Right. I was expecting him to come in and be productive.
That's my point is he's not been productive. But he's played two games. He's 31 for 56. 55%, which is not bad. 245 yards, 3 games, no touchdown.
Mm-hmm. He needs a change of scenery. He needs a change of scenery.
He probably does.
He really does.
Dalton played 1 full game and a couple of snaps in the first game. And he goes for 26 for 38, 68%, 319 yards, and 3 touchdowns in this last game. And I say that to say, one reason that I guess to some degree I'm to some level questioning this, because I can remember when I was a rookie, and I'm quite sure you guys probably remember when you were a rookie, on the mindset that I had.
I can't remember back that far.
Can't remember. The mindset that I had as a rookie, the minute that I did something wrong, I corrected it right away, because there was no way in hell that I was not going to do something to take myself off the field. Now, let's talk about the gossip. From what I hear, unfortunately, his significant other is dating one of the
That's gossip, man.
Where you get your teeth?
Who's your source, man? Who's your source?
Hey,
listen, don't be muddying up our show.
That could be very disappointing, man.
Don't be muddying up our show, man.
And maybe that's the deal. I'm hoping that's the deal. And once he get over her,
we don't do
that
gossip.
He could just kind of get back in. And this is allegedly, of course.
His name is Fred
we don't do allegedly.
Barnett with the B.
Yeah,
Fred Barnett with the B.
With a B. Christopher Cunningham said it's not a football related update, but the Phillies are up 8-4. Not that y'all care, but they're up.
Phillies are doing
Fred
good.
Barnett's not like, Richard Milton says, Fred Barnett is not like Bryce Young has an offensive line to protect him either.
Right.
So is Andy Dalton.
Well, Andy, it's the same, like you said, it's
the same
recipe. I didn't like that cake analogy either. I thought that sucked.
Oh, you just didn't get it. It just went over your head.
I thought that sucked. I was like, I don't know where you were going with that, man.
It just went over your head. Mike, you got it, didn't you, Mike?
Did it go over? Did it go over my head?
Mike got it.
Okay, well, I didn't get it. Use something else next time. A cake, same recipe. It's not the same recipe, because he comes in with different tools.
The same team.
He comes in with different tools. He comes in with different tools, but he comes to the plate with different tools. He comes
different ingredients.
No, you're not going to change my analogy.
I'm not trying to change your analogy. That's why I'm just trying to tell you.
You say it's not the same recipe. It is the same recipe.
It's not the same recipe. He comes with different tools. One called experience.
It's the same team.
No,
it's the same team.
No, it's not the same.
What we got? Where we at? Where we going?
Where we at?
Excuse me. We're going to Thursday night football.
All right.
And we need to get through these so we can. We have people who are asking questions, so we want to answer their questions.
We got to get to those. We love the people.
We got to get
the people what they want. Okay, let's go.
We have 17 people watching right now, y'all, which is good. Eddie Casper, Scott Teller, Richard Melton, Christopher Cunningham, Stu Winrow, Ben Strait. I said Eddie Casper, Billy Bell, Kenneth Casper, Hope Wiley, Mama McGee, that's my mama, y'all. Tyrone Murray, Michael Lott, is in the house, all in the house. Good to see y'all. Thanks for hanging there with us, all right? We're going to get through this. Thursday night football, what's your prediction? Michael Timpson.
Okay, I'm going to move it right along quickly so we can get to those Q&As.
You're going to give all your predictions? Go ahead and give all your predictions at one time. Thursday night, Sunday night, the first Monday night game, and the final Monday night game.
Okay. All right.
All right, go right ahead.
Put me on the clock. Okay. Dallas at New York Giants. Dallas has to do better. They're going against a good team to do that. Daniel Jones, not a good quarterback. He has a good receiver with the young guy that they drafted, but Daniel Jones, they don't have a running game. So I expect Dallas to bounce back. And here's the thing that happened this week. CeeDee Lamb did just what I would hope that Micah Parsons at some point would do. He owned it. He said he failed himself and the team. And I just hope Micah Parsons takes a lesson from that. Just man up and say, you know what? My bad. Not be
Michael Parsons ain't that kind of guy. Michael Parsons ain't that kind of guy.
Saying, that's why I'm hoping. He's a Penn Stater. I'm hoping. So anyway.
There's some bad Penn Staters.
Hey! Watch yourself. Dallas at the Giants. So I'm going with Dallas on that one. Buffalo at Baltimore. Buffalo's playing well, man. They're playing well, but here's the difference. Here's the difference. You're playing at Baltimore. That defense, as we all know, has always been tough, particularly at home. Yep. I don't think Buffalo has been hit in the mouth, and I'm not so sure how they're going to respond. They have a whole new receiving core that you know as well as I do. Baltimore going to get in their face.
Right. Diggs is out there.
They're going to play man to man, and they're going to say man versus man. I'm just not sure they're ready for that. I like what Buffalo's doing, but I like Baltimore at home with the running game and the defense. I just like Baltimore at home. Tennessee at Miami. Here's what I would tell Mike McDaniel if he was on the podcast. Run the ball.
That's all they can do.
Put in. No, he has two decent backs. Put in Tyler Huntley.
That's what I'm saying. That's all they could do.
Go run play action and just run the ball. Don't try and do anything fancy. Let Huntley take some pressure off everything, and you'll get some passes in. And you know those receivers they got, they'll make some plays.
They'll make plays, right?
Run the ball, man. Tennessee, 3 straight losses. I'm not expecting anything out of them. Their quarterback, Will Levi, Levitz, whatever his name is, 5
Levis,
INT.
yeah, Levis.
Yeah, whatever. Miami's going to win that one. The last one, Seattle at Detroit. This is going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to this one. 2 good defenses. Yeah. Seattle 3-0. Detroit tough. I like this game. And
it's in Detroit. It's in Detroit. It's in Detroit.
I don't know who. Huh?
It's in Detroit. It's in Detroit.
That's why I'm going to give the nod to Detroit to win. But that's the tough one. I'm looking forward to that game, though.
Yeah.
All right. I got done in 2 minutes. I timed myself. 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. I'll be done in a minute.
Okay.
Dallas really needs this game. I can't see them losing it. The Giants, as you mentioned, Malik Neighbors is the only thing they got on their team.
Right.
I see Dallas winning that. Baltimore, in my opinion, really needs this even much more than Buffalo. Mike, you made some great points. But being in Baltimore, I think this is the game that gets them back on track. They're 1-2. Buffalo, of course, 3-0, and I don't think any of us would have thought Baltimore would be 1-2 at this point. But I think they're going to get back on track with this game, beating a pretty good team. That's 3-0. Tennessee 0-3 against the 1-2 Miami team. Tennessee, as you mentioned, Mike, I just don't think they have it. Even without Tua, Miami still should beat them, in my opinion, by 3. Seattle at Detroit. Detroit should be 3-0, but they're not. And the fact that they're playing at home, I think this could be a statement game for them to go up 3-1, to just kind of get back in that mindset that they had last year. Of course, being a good playoff team, and I see Seattle coming out of this at 3-1. And Detroit winning this game, and they'll be 3-1 after this win.
Good stuff. All right, let me go real quick. The Cowboys versus the Giants is in New York. The Cowboys just are not. They don't have anything going. Dak is, he's a good quarterback, but they just can't seem to do enough. And their defense can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They can't do anything. Not that Daniel Jones is all that. But because this game is, and they're both 1-2, this is a NFC East decisive game right here, and both these teams need to win this game. But I'm going to go with the Giants. I got the Giants, man. I'm going with the Giants.
Serious?
Yeah, I'm going with the Giants. I got to go different than y'all.
Mike, you make sure you write this down. Write this down, Mike.
Because Dallas is descending.
Oh, that's fine.
Dallas is descending, and the Giants are ascending in their play.
Can I say this? If Dallas loses this game, Jerry Jones is going to fire everybody.
Well, we'll see.
Yes, he is.
We'll see.
He's going to fire. I'm telling you, that coach is going to lose.
Yes, he will.
If they lose this
they
game
lose against the Giants
on Thursday night football.
Okay, we're going to by this time tomorrow. Well, we won't find out about this time tomorrow, but close to this time tomorrow, we'll know. Billy Bell agrees with me. Billy Bell said yes, sir.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Manny Day, what's
Billy,
going on,
fine.
brother? I'm going. Don't be surprised. I have the freedom to make
Hey,
my
I
own
won't be
picks.
surprised.
You make your picks.
No, we just-
I make my picks.
We can question your picks.
No, you cannot question my pick. I didn't question your
Pastor.
picks. I didn't question your picks. You make your
We
pick.
can laugh at your picks.
You can laugh if you want. That's all right. Listen, I know we all picked New Orleans last week, and what happened? Yeah, the
I
silent
didn't
now.
pick New Orleans.
I hear crickets now. We hear crickets.
I didn't pick New Orleans.
Yes, you did.
I picked the Eagles to win that game.
No, you didn't.
Mike,
Hold on.
there's no way.
Let me finish my picks.
Look
Sunday
it up,
night.
Mike. Go ahead.
Sunday. I'm gonna get through this real quick. Sunday night, the Bills and the
Hold on.
Ravens.
Here we go.
Sunday night, Bills and Ravens. It's at the Ravens. Both teams are balling. Yeah. They're playing well right now. Josh Allen's a beast. He's running the ball. He's throwing the ball. Doesn't have digs, but they seem to be putting it together. But Ravens, man, at home, like Mike said, defense. That defense is awesome. Buffalo struggled against the Jaguars to run the ball last week. They struggled. So I'm going with the Ravens at home to win. Do I need to give a score? 24-21.
Oh, you don't have to.
Titans versus the Dolphins. Listen, the Dolphins, they had Skylar Thompson and Jim Boyle, both quarterbacks.
They act like they ain't never got hit.
Yeah,
They had
six. They had six. Seattle sacked them 6 times last week for 46 yards, minus 46 yards in sacks. That's ridiculous. They only scored 3 points. But the Titans.
That quarterback got up like, this ain't practice squad. This ain't scout team. I mean, he had that look like y'all supposed to hit me.
They only scored 3 points, but the Titans suck too,
I got on the red jersey.
The Titans are
got a red jersey on.
As we said, Titans are 0-3, man. They both these teams are messed up right now. I just believe that the Dolphins are going to do enough defensively to keep them in the game, and they're going to make a few plays offensively to score enough points to beat the Titans, because the Titans suck too. they just Levis is bad. He got sacked 6 times last week too. Levis got sacked 6 times. I'm like, man, this cat. Their offensive line is rough, and the defensive line for the Dolphins is pretty good. But that front offensive line for the Titans, that was their problem. It was like putty paper, just crazy. Seahawks versus Lions in Detroit. I know the Seahawks are 3-0. Geno threw a couple of interceptions last week against the Dolphins. I got to go with the Lions at home. And then plus, was it Aiden Hutchinson?
Yes,
Aiden Hutchinson plays for the Lions. That cat's going off. He got 6.5 sacks right now. He's first in the league in sacks, and he's first in the league in quarterback hits. And Geno was giving up. He got sacked 3 times last week. So I think that's going to be the difference right there. The defense for the Lions against that offense for the Seattle Seahawks. The defense is going to stymie them, and the Lions, they're at home.
Yep.
I'm taking the Lions.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'm taking the Lions.
Sounds like a winner.
Yep.
So, this is the part of the show that we wanted to make sure that we got to every week. We have a few more minutes before we retire.
Real quick, before you go there quick, I'm going to give you the standings.
Uh-oh.
You're 7-3, Irv. Fred, you're 7-3, and I'm bringing up the rear at 6-4.
Oh, okay.
That's where we are with our predictions. Thursday, Monday, Sunday predictions.
Mm-hmm. I should go ahead next week when Dallas beat the Giants.
Mm-hmm. Y'all make sure you're close to your phone when tomorrow night. All right, make sure you got your phone with you tomorrow night, because I'm going to send you a video. I'm not going to send you a text message. I'm going to send you a personal video, and it won't.
All right. Well, we got some questions. Let's
listen. We got a bunch of people watching right now. Listen, if you're watching right now, Arnie Curlin's in the house. Arnie Curlin is in the house. Again, Bill. Who's that? Billy Bell. Listen, if you're watching right now and you have a question for any one of us, please throw a capital Q up, semicolon, and then write your question. This is the time of the show we take to spend time with you, our audience. Those of you who have taken the time out of your evening to come on and watch us and make comments. We want to answer any questions that you may have. So let's hear from the people. Christopher Cunningham's in the house. Eddie Casper, Scott Teller. So throw your
Scott
question
has
up.
A question.
Put a cue up. Do you see a question there?
Yeah, Scott Teller asked, what's our opinion of Nick Sirianni, and could we play for a coach like him? It's interesting. Let me start.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Let me start because here's the deal with Nick Sirianni.
This is the deal, or this is one of the deals.
From my perspective.
Okay.
Because even at this point, I'm not sure how involved he is in calling plays.
You're not sure?
I'm not. Could you please correct me?
Who made that call on fourth down? There's two calls on fourth down to go for. Who made that call on fourth down?
Was it Nick or was it Kellen Moore?
Who you think made the call? Was it Kellen Moore or
was it Nick?
Kellen Moore that's not in Kellen Moore DNA. Who made those calls? Because Nick, first of all, you got to look at the situation where they were only down by 3 points. They had an opportunity, just like last week. They're only down by 3 points. This week they're down by 3 points. They got one of the best kickers, Jake Elliott, in the league. It's a 30-yard, 40-yard field goal 2 times on fourth down in the first half. The second one was right before halftime when they're going to get the ball coming back out after halftime. Yeah. And he decides to go for it and call a fake freaking push. Who you think made that call?
Man. Okay.
So even before anybody scored, I think their first possession did they go for?
Now let me say this. Let me say this to answer the question. If I'm a player, let me go back to last week because they did the same thing last week on the second series in the first quarter. They drive down the field, 67 yards, I believe it was, and decide to go for it on fourth down and not kick the field goal and come away with nothing. Okay? We'll put up with that. Come away with nothing and struggle the whole game. Then this week, the same thing happened again. They get down the field, drive down the field, got a fourth down, they decide to go for it, didn't get anything. Then it happened again right before halftime. They go down the field, they're in field goal territory, they decide to go for this fake tush push, and you knew something was up because they were taking too long on the sidelines to call the doggone play. And then when they lined up, it wasn't the regular tush push formation. It looked funny. It was funny. There was a wing on the side when the back normally is behind the quarterback to push him. And then they got stuffed. Now, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm a player on that team, I'm thinking to myself, what in John Brown is my coach doing? Now I'm starting to question my coach. And then we get the second half and they try to kick a 60-yard field goal and to give the ball on the fourth down and give the ball, rather than punting it, and give the ball back to the opposing team on the 50-yard line. They got a short field.
Yeah, I don't even believe in luck, but they were lucky at that game.
So I disagree.
They probably shouldn't have won that game.
The coach, I just think the Boo Birds are going to come out. If they hit a slide and hit some adversity, the Boo Birds are going to come out and they're going to start calling for his head.
But he's doing this based on analytics. And analytics do not account for the unexpected. Just like last week when they decided to throw that ball and Saquon Barkley dropped it. Well, the analytics said, okay, this is the play that you call. And it was a good play because it worked. But it didn't account for the unexpected. He dropped the freaking ball. So what's the problem? So what's the probability? Is he more probably is it more highly probable for him to drop the ball or more highly probable for him to fumble the ball on a run? It's more highly probable for him to drop the ball.
For him to drop the ball, yeah.
Run the doggone ball.
Run the ball. I tell you what, if they don't learn from this game, let's be interesting. And
they didn't
I
learn
guess
from the last game. He did the same thing this game that he did the last game. He ain't learned nothing.
Second part of the question is, could we play for him? I don't think we have a choice.
No,
if
I don't play for him. I don't like him anyway.
Wait a minute. If you were
I don't like Sirianni. No, because when I first met him, he started talking about, I used to play with you on Techno Bowl. I'm like, kiss my toe, man. What's wrong with you?
Did he really say that to you?
Yes.
Did he really say that to you?
When I first met, I used to play with you on Techno Bowl. I'm like, kick your behind. What's wrong with you?
Wow.
Well, you were on Techno Bowl.
Man,
That's
shut
hilarious. That is hilarious.
That's what he
All
said
right,
to
man,
me.
You have no choice to play for.
We got
Who's
another question. We got one more question.
What's another question? Anybody? I saw one. Wait a minute. Christopher Cunningham asked, "Do you guys know AJ Brown's status for Sunday?" No, I don't know what it is.
I don't know either.
I think it's still up in the air. I don't think he's going to be back. They've got some injury issues. The starting guard, Becton, the starting tackle, Lane Johnson. AJ Brown is probably still questionable. Devontae Smith is out with a concussion. And Britton Covey is out with a broken bone. So they're missing quite a few guys this week. So I don't know what the status is. We'll find out. They kind of hide that kind of stuff, and they're not supposed to do that. But we'll find out here in the next couple of days. Question: Player Ben Straight is asking, players or coaches for our Eagles, who takes the most blame for the rocky play so far this season, especially on offense?
I'll be Sirianni.
He's not trying to take the blame.
The coaches, in my opinion.
He's not trying to take the blame. No, because guess what?
What's the question?
Who do you know who is in? Do you know who takes the blame? Who takes the most blame for the rocky play so far this season for the Eagles, especially on offense?
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts.
Well, let me say this about Jalen, Mike, because I was watching. You know, he's got 26 interceptions in last 21 games. He's turned the ball over, but he's got
that's crazy.
10. He's got 10 come from behind wins too. So he's explosive. He's great, and then he's terrible at times. His interception that he threw this week, and you guys will vouch for me on this. It was a skinny post he's supposed to be playing. So you get to the top of the route at the receiver, and you stick your outside foot in the ground, and you cut in front of
the ball's got to be there.
The ball's got to be there. Exactly. So what happened when you watch that route or watch that play, and that ball, before the receiver makes his break, that ball's on the way because the quarterback's throwing it to a spot. And this play was going to take place in the end zone. So it didn't matter what the DB did. You make sure you body him up and get in front of him, get between him and the ball, catch the ball. You're going to get hit, but you're in the end zone. It's a touchdown. Play is over. So when Devontae Smith got to the top of the route, the corner, or the safety, I should say, was still inside of him. For whatever reason, instead of him sticking his outside foot in the ground and cutting across, making sure he got in front of the defensive back, he tried to make a move. He made a wiggle, and it threw him off balance, so he wasn't able to make his next step in front of the DB to cut him off, and the ball was already coming. And the ball should have been on his left shoulder, but the ball was out in front of him. Why? Because he didn't get there in time. So, it was Jalen's fault, but it was Devontae's fault more than Jalen's fault that ball got intercepted. Because you got to get in front of that defensive back and cut him off, body him up, catch the ball on your back shoulder, and take the hit and score the touchdown.
That's a great point, Herb, because a lot of fans can't see that and really understand the mechanics and really what's going on. Sometimes the best offensive play for a wide receiver is to make a defensive play. And that is, when somebody's there at that point, finish your route and make sure the defensive back doesn't catch the ball. That's a great point.
Okay, here's the last question. This is what Scott said. Scott's telling us, this is Scott Teller telling us this is the last question. He said, last question, does Fred still have that mint Volkswagen Beetle? Red with white interior. Red. That thing was mint.
Okay.
Man, how do you remember that? Man, that was years. That was a 1967 Beetle.
That's a classic.
That's a 1967. That was a classic, bro.
Yeah.
That was years ago.
If you still had that, you could make some money on that, brother. If you still had that.
No, I don't. If I had it, I'd be driving it. I do not, Scott. I do not.
Ben Stray said, you guys are so much more credible than the mainstream commentators. Thank you for doing this for us. No, we're good with you all. We love it. One more. What's your thoughts on Belichick? This is Arnie Curlin. What are your thoughts on Belichick, you guys?
He need to get off TV. He need to stop trying to be a commentator.
First of all,
he need to go back to coaching.
I'm going to tell you something.
Belichick.
Nick Sirianni keeps screwing up. Belichick going to be right here.
You know what?
That's why he's hanging around.
They got him going to Dallas.
They got him going to Dallas or here.
He's going to be right
Dallas
here.
or Philadelphia. Okay. Well, both teams are messing up. Sirianni keeps making these decisions. Listen, the decisions that he's made are almost asinine.
Yeah.
They just, it's ridiculous. I'm sitting and I'm watching. I'm like, he did that again? And then I said, he did it again? And then I'm like, God, what is he doing? Why is he making these decisions? I mean, come on. That's coaching 101. You're down by 3, or you're not even down by 3. It's 0-0. You're in field goal position. Kick the field goal.
Yeah.
Right? You kick a field goal. I mean, you don't have to go. You're not in a position to have to go for it on 4th down.
Well, we played in Philly. He keep it up, they're going to run him out of there. They're going to
run him straight up out of here.
Right across that bridge. Right across that bridge. Get out of there.
Right. Let me shout out there. But Arnie Curlin, thanks for watching. Rocking with Raul and the Three Amigos. He's in the house. What do you think about the Eagles Sunday game? Do you think Jalen Hurts is the right quarterback? Oh, boy, that's a 2-hour conversation right there. Rockin'. Yeah. Come back with us next week. We're going to see. We're going to see. But it's not all Jalen's fault. Scott Taylor's in the house. Arnie Curlin's in the house. Ben Straight. Christopher Cunningham. Shout out to you, my brother. Billy Bell. Shout out to you, bro. Eddie Casper. Shout out to you. Richard Melton. Still in the house. Who else? Kenneth Casper. Arnie Curlin. I said him.
Kenneth Casper.
Billy Bell. Manny Day is in the house. What's going on, Manny? How you doing, bro? Richard Melton, Christopher Cunningham, Scott Taylor, Stu
Mama's in the house.
Mama, I didn't get to Mama yet. Yeah, Billy Bell, I said Kenneth Casper. Shout out to you, Hope Wiley, Mama. God bless you, Tyrone Murray, Michael Lott, Richard Melton. That's it.
Tell Melton his Bills are gonna lose.
You tell him. He's watching. Tell him.
I just told him.
I'm gonna give you the screen. Go ahead. I'm gonna give you the screen. Tell him. Look at the screen and tell him.
Look right in the screen.
Well, go ahead, Richard. Take the L, brother. Take the L.
Bills are gonna lose. Sorry, Richard.
B gonna L. Bills gonna lose.
Listen, y'all. Please don't forget.
Yes.
We are on YouTube, and most of you are watching right now on YouTube. Those of you that aren't, because there's some of you. Keenan Harmon's in the house. I'm sorry. Keenan Harmon is in the house. Just came on. He's on Facebook. Keenan, go to YouTube. Search for Wideouts World. Hit that little magnifying glass at the top. Search for Wideouts World and subscribe. All right, y'all? Those of you who are watching right now on Facebook, we want you to go. Charles Fryar's in the house. Peanut, what's going on, cuzzo?
Okay.
We need to have you on here one day, bro. We need to have you on as a guest one day. Holla at me, all right? Hit me up on Facebook, social media, and give me your number so I can get in contact with you. But, yeah, y'all, if you're watching right now, Charles, you watching on Facebook, go to YouTube. Search for Wideouts World. Let me get the screen right here. Search for Wideouts World and subscribe, please. All right? Like us. Hit the notifications button. Share us with other people. All right? We're trying to build this business so we can get to you all every week and give you these outlooks that we have about these wide receivers and our predictions of these games coming up every week. We have fun today. Good show, fellas.
Always. Always.
So listen, y'all. This is Wideouts World. I'm Irving Fryar. This is Michael Timpson. That is Fred Barnett. We're here every week, Wednesdays, 7 to 8 p.m., right here on YouTube. Wideouts World. See you next week. Same time, same purpose.
Okay, Wakanda forever. That's Wakanda forever over there.
Yeah, Lord, I know he threw me off. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We'll be back next week. Y'all, we'll see y'all. We're out of here. Peace.
This has been Wideouts World. Touchdown. Not 1, not 2, but 3 NFL legends. Fred Barnett, Irving Fryar, and Michael Timpson. Are you freaking kidding me? If it's football talk you're looking for, I think we've got you covered. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on YouTube at Wideouts World. See you next time.
Let's go! Let's go! Go! Go!